Peace and blessings. What's up, y'all? This is Unplugging, servant of Ahaya Yahweh, representing Detroit. We're going to continue on in the MK Ultra Occult Ghetto series, breaking every chain. We want to break the chain of ancestral bondage. We want to reveal some things about ancestral bondage that have been hidden in the world all around us, and the way that Project MK Ultra has transcended its original use as something that only plagued military individuals, people involved in the military-industrial complex, corporate individuals, and people involved in the entertainment business, or excuse me, the so-called industry of entertainment, which has long been mistaken as a business. Really, it is a CIA front, a way to produce idols before you, a way to program you, to give you controlled opposition and controlled leadership. Well, controlled opposition to the Illuminati, and controlled opposition against you, and controlled leadership for you. All control, 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 control. And yes, we used Michael Jackson for the icon of the last video because he is a great example of how the Project MK Ultra sacrifice of kids, the goat. Kids are baby goats. And the Crowley and sex magic all plays a part in this study, if you will. So we ended off at Darth Plagueis and Prince. Darth Plagueis. And have you guys seen the pictures of George Lucas's daughters? There's a picture of them with their tongues stuck out, throwing up the Manu, the devil's horn sign, and representing, with dad standing there looking throwed off. So we're going to look at some more examples of famous people that we're not told are connected, but indeed we found out through the discernment of the Holy Spirit, but just through not being game goofy, being able to make connections. That's what being game goofy is. You don't have enough game to see what you're not being told. Some things will not be told to you, bruh. And you know, also to be game goofy mean that you believe what you are being told. You're the type that follow the breadcrumbs as they lay down before you, and you just go like Little Red Robin Hood or Hansel and Gretel or whoever, and you just follow like a child, blindly being led each step of the way down a pathway that was already cut out for you. And then you think you found something mysterious and great. I'm talking to you Kemetian brothers that study Kemet by academic and scholarly standards. Everything you get either come from a boule source, some black elitist who's been deceived himself with the Luciferian lie noir, or it come from out of college. And I'm sorry, but the government you have elected. Why is that? I'm sorry, but college and academics are designed to deceive you because it's all about degrees and sororities and fraternities, which we know can get these because they are what? Led by Luciferians from the top down. You can't be, how can a house divided against itself stand? You can't be up under something, up under the power of something, and it not affect you all the way down. The head at the top controls the body beneath. Same thing with your body. Everything starts in the mind. My old dude used to say, mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. So let's look some more into some more examples of this. And it's cold out here. Don't get it twisted. It's cold. And I just shaved my dome. People, oh, you wearing a hood. It's cold. I want to put my gloves on, but I won't be able to flip pages. Yeah, it's cold. And I had to step from inside to outside. That's why I got my jacket on. Crazy people. But yeah, it's cold. And I'm finna put it back on, too. I'm gonna take it long as I can. Because I don't like how it look. It remind me of the So What You Saying video. Look at the So What You Saying video again. Look at it. It's on there. Dial it up. Look at it. Why the secret society scenes? It's more than a notion. All right. Cult groups. Church girls. PKs. Another source of the sacrifice of kids, or the sacrifice of goats, and the Crowleyan magic used in child abuse, we find it also involved in those things, because cult groups, maybe that's a little self-explanatory, but church girls and PKs in general. Well, most pastors, in order to become a pastor, you own a church. 9 times out of 10, you bought that building. You can be a pastor, like my pastor, and not be affiliated with the brotherhood or the sorority. You can. I am a pastor of a temple of the true Yeshua. I am not affiliated with any brotherhood whatsoever. Never have been, never will be. Never had it, never will. 7 up. But most of the time, a church of any power and prominence in your community, a pastor of any power and prominence before you, paraded by media or standing before politicians and praying for them, T.D. Jakes, Rick Warren, excuse me, they would have to be members of the brotherhood. That's just how the game go. You see, I ain't lying. It's cold, right? Forget you. G-Mo Nelly. What about do this? No, it ain't that bad. Okay. All right. So, cult groups. I do this out of love. I love you. I love you with the love of Jesus. Cult groups. The Nubian Nation. ODR. Yahweh ben Yahweh. ODR in Detroit, the Order of Divine Reality, was the group that Proof, Jay Dilla, and Batin of Slum Village all belong to. And what do they all three have in common? 3 Detroit hip-hop luminaries, all out of here. And they all belong to the same cult group. They all were dealing in certain levels of conjuring, writing spells. Listen to the Slum Village album. Batin will tell you about how he'll write up a scroll on you. What's writing up a scroll? It's a form of cursing someone. A Hebrew form of magic. The label that Slum Village was on, before we knew what a Barack Obama was, what was the label they was on? Barack Records. That was, okay, let's go down through there. That was owned by RJ. RJ came from RJ's Latest Arrival. RJ's Latest Arrival was affiliated with Dr. York. Dr. York did some writing and producing. He did some work with RJ's Latest Arrival and other affiliated groups. And he himself, of course, was a songwriter and put out a couple of albums. Look at, I even had put some on one of my YouTube lists. Maybe it was the Unplugging and Debugging. But I don't remember which one. But it's on YouTube. Look up some Dr. York records if you're a Nubian still. And if you've not heard enough things to wake you up out of the spell that you're in. You can't be game goofy about nothing that you study. I am studying some things now that are totally contradictory to things that I had learned from my Israelite brethren back home. And that are contradicting the things that the Messianic church that I affiliate myself with when I visit Ohio is teaching. I've already had some conversations to that effect with some leadership there. And it's no surprise. Well, Yeshua's coming back for a church without spot or blemish. That means there needs to be some reformation. And reformation means let's take a look at what we're into. If you can't take a look at yourself, that's introspection. Spectacle, to see, spectate, to watch. Introspection, to look inside yourself. Retrospection, to look behind yourself. If you can't retrospect, see your past, and introspect, see what's in you, I don't know what you expect. But you ought to expect to not go very far. Because you need to do those things in order to build yourself. So I just advise all my wise civilized brethren to just take a look at the things that you've been dealing with. And look for the twist. Because it's a twist in this. There's a twist in everything. Ain't nobody mouth no prayer book. The proof of truth is the truth itself. No particular organization has a patent or copyright on the truth. They're all schools of thought. Even York taught us that. And I say us because baby boy, I read the scrolls. I ain't like your boy Jigga. I had the red tabs. I taught it in my basement. Called myself Amin Thoth and taught it well. I was nice with the device. Dr. York's nephew came down and sat on one of our sessions. We was kicking it like that. But I ain't game goofy. I went out there a couple times. Me and my lady at the time, East Side girl from the Brewsters, who wasn't game goofy herself, and we was checking it out. And we saw some things. And you know, your game detector goes off. You should listen to it. That's that small, still voice within that can't be fooled. The elect cannot be fooled. Matthew 24:24. So let's look at the cult groups and how they play a role in the sacrifice of kids. Well, you know, in Jim Jones' situation in Guyana, they tell us, and again, big shout out to our brother TK, Papa TK from St. Louis out there, you know, doing his thing, exposing things, exposing the game. Jim Jones didn't get all them people to drink the Kool-Aid, quote unquote. Some of them didn't. And guess what happened? The CIA came down through there and handled them. Yeah, they mopped up those who would not comply. Everybody didn't comply. Everybody don't be game goofy at one time like that. I believe the same thing happened with Applewhite in the Heaven's Gate cult. But with the Guyana situation, the Jim Jones situation, and why as an MC would you name yourself that unless you knew you were involved in mind control, poisoning people, and mind control? Let's jam. So there were children involved. Okay, there were children died alongside people because the sacrifice of children is important to conjuring. In order to conjure certain levels of devils, you need to do more heinous acts, more heinous activities. And to those of you who claim to study Kemet, you need to study Kemetian magic, because at the end of the day, that's what the Egyptian mystery is about. That's the mystery, the Kemetian mystery system. The mystery is, how do you get a hold of Thoth? How do you get a hold of Heru? Tehuti, Djibouti, Jedi. How do you get a hold to them? Come on. Quit lightweight jamming and repeating what you read some Masonic peons writing about, and now you sitting there spewing it like you know something. Try it out. I'm on that level. I believe in the practical application of theory in real life situations. You don't know you know martial arts until somebody trying to go upside your head. Same thing with this. You don't know nothing about what you're talking about, brother, until you actually apply your theory in real life situation. You ain't been tested by an extra dimensional entity and called upon the names of power, the verbs of power. You ain't used none of them in real life application. You lightweight jamming. And this is heavyweight funk. Put up your dukes. So, Dr. York and the Epoc Center. Dr. York took children. He was indicted on 72 counts. Now this is from memory. He was indicted on 72 counts of child trafficking and related things to bothering the children. And he took the children to Epcot Center. When he said himself in his scroll, I believe it was the year 2000 and what to expect, he said himself in the scroll that Epcot Center was a place where, what? They tighten kids up for mind control. It makes perfect sense now knowing what we know about Disney, partially from Freeman Fly, who may have been controlled opposition. You know, at one time I was really digging Freeman. I must have watched the Freeman Perspective hundreds of times. And he opened up some things for me. So I know that at one period of time, he was 100. What he is now, not so sure. Once you begin to deal with the same people that you was exposing, I mean, we're not game goofy. We're gonna start looking at you a little sideways. Professor Griff, Freeman Fly, and Jordan Maxwell, you say enough things that make my spidey senses tingle. Plus, you have an effeminate spirit, over you that tells me something to be watchful of. I love the ladies, and that'll never change. Please believe it. But I digress. They don't love me. But New York and Dr. York, of course, he was stationed, and I say stationed because I'm of the full belief now that he was a Masonic superstar. Well equipped by lineage, because lineage is important, and by his mentality to be a great wizard. That's what a Mason truly is. Freeman Fly helped to expose that. He was bloodline. He talked about, and my father, he used to work on UFOs and blah, 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 These connections be there. Dr. York had a whole scroll about his background history and how he was connected to the Yorks and all that type of stuff. Okay? Which, it might seem dubious at first, or you might be skeptical of these things at first until you understand how important bloodline is to the enemy. And we talked about that in the last video. We went all the way back to Genesis to show and prove that this thing is all about one family, one bloodline against another at the end of the day. So York takes the children to Epcot Center. He had to polish off your wife. He had to make sure that your wife was 100 for you before you had her in the blue room. Excuse me. And he was the #1 boule. And I wrote down here, FBI Ted Jackson. Blew my mind when I was looking up stuff about York. Blew my mind and almost scared me. If I was another type of fella, I'd have really been scared. And fear is not of God. We all have moments where we might get nervous and anxious. That happens to me. But fear is something different. But I almost felt a fear. Because I'm like, whoa, what kind of trick is this? The dude that busted Dr. York, the black man, Ted Jackson. That's my name. Whew. And at the time, I was one of the first people that the Lord put it in to start seeing that something wasn't right. And to start saying it right about what wasn't right. And I was breaking people out of the bondage that I myself had once been in up under Dr. York. And so I believe that that's related somehow. Just exactly how? Well, that's a whole nother can of worms. But somehow that was related. I don't know what that man's real name was. I don't believe in coincidence, though. That's my real name. So I don't know how to hash that out. But the guy that busted Dr. York had my same name. And that is not that common of a name. Maybe Jackson is. Maybe Theodore is. And I don't remember if they said his name was Theodore. But I know in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution article I was reading, it said his name, Ted Jackson. And then also I was watching something one day on TV. And it might have been CNN, where they was talking about cults or something, and they mentioned Dr. York's cult, and they did a little segment on that, and they showed the guy. It was a brother named Ted Jackson. Truth is stranger than fiction. You can't make this stuff up. Okay? But, of course, in the cult groups, there's much mind control. Dr. York was a mind control master. As you read the scroll from one scroll to the other, because I had bought a big, thick thing of scrolls. I went down there one time, spent $600 something, and another time spent $700 something. 6 and 7, 13, ain't that something? But I was able to do that at the time, and so me and my lady, we went down there by my thread of telling her, I'm finna be Nuwabian. I done finally found the truth, and I'm finna join it. I done finally found something I could join, because at the time I was of the frame of mind that there was nothing that could be joined, which is the frame of mind I am of now. But just with the understanding that Jesus Christ is the truth and everything else is something built around that truth. But that's the center, the foundation, knowing that Yeshua HaMashiach is the real deal, holy filled. But at the time, I told her this, and, I made that threat to her, you're going to have to be one or I'm going to break up with you. And that night, she said, okay, well, let's go check it out. She was like that. And so we hopped in the ride, gassed it up, stopped at Walmart or Super K or whatever was open, bought some traveling snacks, and we rode that ride and went down there. And I went down there and I saw foolishness from the time we pulled up. First of all, I saw a military personnel copter flying over the land. Oh, well, of course, you know, they watching Dr. York. That's military personnel copter, baby boy. I played with enough G.I. Joes. I know the difference. It wasn't surveillance. It was for personnel. So it is for they invade them. They didn't. That's heavyweight jam. Then as we pull up to the door, the gate, the Egyptian style gate, because, you know, you got Egyptian and you got Kemetian, and I saw both mixed and matched on the land. Come on. The Georgia State Trooper who was positioned at the gate, first of all, that alarmed me, because the way I know, you don't deal with the popo. But you dealing with the state troopers, the big foe, like we call them. So we went on ahead and pulled up. My man greeted us at the gate. I'm kind of inquiring. Well, I'm looking kind of funny, and I'm like, yeah, we from Detroit. We were reading a lot of scrolls. We just wanted to come down here and see what time it was. He said, oh yeah. He said, yeah, I've been with the doc now for 3-4 years and blah blah. So I'm like, okay, the guard is with it, but he got on his full state trooper gear, Georgia State Trooper. So I'm like, okay. So, we get to talking, conversating, I'm trying to glean some game from him, so I'm talking with him, my girl, she went on ahead and crept on ahead, survey the scene. So I'm talking with him, and I'm like, you a state trooper? He said, yeah, I've been a state trooper for blah, 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 but I just came into the knowledge a couple years ago. And, Doc wrote some songs too. And blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I think I mentioned something about I did music. Like, yeah, well, Doc was in the music business. He wrote, they used to try to say he wrote, Wake Up All the Children. And, yeah, that's I heard that in class, and in the YB class, I heard that from people. And then my man said this to me right then and there. So I'm like, oh, yeah? Like, yeah, because when I looked it up, that's not what I found. Not even his, they say he had a name like Sugar Bear or something like that. An alias, an alter ego. So anyway, my man telling me this, that, and the third. We goes on to the land. Oh, he's like, well, everything's closed today. It's only open on such and such a day. So I'm like, so what kind? The impression of it was much more corporate and government and organized in a government fashion than what I thought. The impression I was getting all the way back in Detroit, reading the scrolls alone, was that this was set apart from this Babylon system, and it wasn't. It was right ingrained with it, even up to the fact they had dolls of this guy and everything. But the straw that broke the bull's back was when we walked into the museum, where some dude dressed like Professor X was standing out there as the curator or whatever, and my man had walkie-talkie to him like, oh yeah, we finna let some people in. They came all the way from Detroit. They wanted to see some things. So I told him, well, maybe the museum might be open. So I said, okay, cool. We'll check that out. So he calls ahead, gives my man a heads up. So we walk on down there, and I saw he had 7 Cadillac Sevilles too, different colors, 7 different colors, 7 Sevilles, all the same year. I don't know what year they was, but they was all the same. And I thought that was ill. I was like, dang, who caddies is that? Oh, that's the docs. Okay, so we goes to the museum. I'm seeing how pyramids was built too for the first time, or at least the way they was building them. They start with an obelisk. So the point at the top of the pyramid was the head of the obelisk, the point part of the obelisk. That was the point of the pyramid, and they would build the pyramid around the obelisk. That's how they was doing it. So I goes to the museum, and I gets off in there. Now, Dr. York is key. Now, don't think this is lightweight jamming. Dr. York brought you Erykah Badu and her ramblings. Dr. York made Andre turn to Andre 3000 and start dressing funny bunny. Dr. York made Common Sense look like Common, and start dressing funny bunny and do weird things. Erykah Badu is a Project Monarch butterfly trained by Dr. York. And CeeLo Green and some of the members of Goody Mob, of course, being from Atlanta, also had got a hold to his writings and his scrolls. And I don't know how programmed they were, but we can look at CeeLo's ascension and his dissension from the group, and we can make some proper assumptions, not being gang goofy. So this was the straw. We goes into the museum, and I'm looking at things that obviously have been glued together. I can see the seam of the plastic knives and things, supposed to be old artifacts that Dr. York got a hold of. And on the wall is pictures of his Anunnaki ancestors, you know, that somebody drew. Well, that'd be all right if you say, well, this is an artist rendering. You say, well, how you know how they look? So, oh, that's exactly how they look. That's exactly how they look. Because you see, when they channel into the artist can see exactly how they look. So that's exactly how they look. And I notice how different ones look like Dr. York. A new look like Dr. York. That's so did Yeshua. He looked like Dr. York too, like a young York. So I'm looking at this stuff, and my game detector, you know, it just won't cut off. I'm from Detroit. You better know something about somebody trying to pull something on you, or else you might end up in the river, wrapped up in a rug. So I'm looking around. I'm not feeling good about this situation, and then my girl say, "Come here, look at this." She over maybe about, I don't know, 5-10 yards away. So I walked over there where she was at, and she's looking in this roped off area. It's a fake casket. And now Dr. York don't teach nothing but what black masonry teaches at the higher levels. That's all. He's to disseminate it through hip hop and to indoctrinate us through hip hop music. And he did that in the neo soul era, and he did that in the black consciousness era, which both was new age noir disguised as two forms of black music. And he was behind it. But I'm looking, and I see it's an alien encased in a fake plastic casket, some kind of space casket. Now, all of this stuff look like it don't even cost good money. You know, I'm looking at it like this is shabby looking too. You know, this couldn't keep a gerbil alive, let alone some kind of extraterrestrial biological entity. So, and you know what? That was part of the reason too why we went down there. It wasn't totally on my threat. It was also on my main man DJ Dez, who we would, you know, me, him, sometime Proof. We'd get on the phone, sometime Elzai, and we'd get on the phone and we'll talk about these higher level things, higher consciousness things. And one time, Dez called me and told me about he had heard from Krishanta, who was Proof's ex-girlie and a figure in the Detroit conscious rap movement and just in the Detroit rap movement period, who Erykah Badu got her stilo from. Please believe it, when Erykah Badu was down there in Louisiana, she's from Texas, but she went to school in Louisiana, witchcraft land, she dressed like a B-girl. I know because my main man D Peasy went to Grambling with her, and they saw her dressing like a B-girl, hanging around rappers. She had that mentality from the very beginning. But it wasn't until coming back and forth to the D and having a connection there, and she saw Krishanta, and she bit off her style. And she bit a couple things from Detroit. She bit Call Tyrone from my song Midnight Man, which is another reason why it's up there, up under the couple of musical offerings I got on my channel from my time in that study, just to show and prove that, you know, I ain't just talking about it, I was about it. But anyway, it was at Krishanta's insistence that they had seen a gray on the land when they went down there. And Dez tells me this. I'm like, man, I don't believe it, man. For real, call her. Or I think he just took it upon himself to call her. She answered the phone. We on the three-way. I asked her. I said, Sister Krishanta, I said, you mean to tell me that this man actually has a gray on his land? A dead gray? It's like, well, yeah, I think it was dead. Well, we couldn't really tell real good because it was a lot of people crowded around it and we couldn't see real good. But yeah, it's a gray. It's inside of a little casket or box. I was like, bet. Game goofy of me. No, it's good we went to see. So I'm looking at this with my girl at the time, and we watching this thing. We looking at this thing, supposed to be an alien, obviously made of plastic. Look like one of my old toys or something. I could look at the texture of it and tell it was not skin, it was plastic. And I could see the seam all the way down the middle, like where they cast the top half and they cast the bottom half and they glued them together. I could see the seam. So I'm looking at this, and my world is kind of crushing, collapsing, because I'm like, wow, I've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray. So I called Professor X. I said, my man, I said, now I'm feeling some type of way. So the respect and things I went in there with was kind of leaving. And now my 6 mile, 7 mile, this was coming out. I felt a little fickle laugh. I said, my man, I said, is this real? He came walking over there like he had to see. Dog, you in here every day. He walked over, he looked at it. He said, yeah, I think so. I was done. We went off to the store. I saw Dr. York dolls. I saw all manners of things that was out of order, and there was nothing but a way to try to lead us into New Age noir. Make us believe fallen angels was aliens, and make us believe that Egyptian demons and devils were gods and ancestors of ours. So if you're still in that deception, you game goofy. And all I can ask is that the Most High point you in the right direction. I'm trying to steer you strong, not steer you wrong. But some of y'all blinded, you want to be blind because you're trapped in pride. You need that little taste of self-esteem for yourself. Go take some martial arts or something. That'll make you feel good. And you can really do something with it. But that which you believe, you can't do nothing with it. You can't do nothing with it. What have you conjured that's benefited your life? You bring them things into your life, they will eventually take you down through there. They're going to put you together like a Lego set. I'm telling you that which I had conjured from dealing with them arts, because I took it to that level. I brought devils into my life, and they took everything I had, including my home. And I wouldn't wish that on my enemy. I mean, it took everything, just like the scriptures say. It tricked me and trapped me, made me think I had something. Let me read people's minds and control people and get a couple dollars. And then it just took everything. It took the couple dollars and everything else I had before the couple dollars. But that's what the demons are meant and devised, designed to do. When they tell you, silver shadow, that you need that silver shadow, Atlantic Star, look it up. That you need that silver shadow in order to get ahead in life. That's what you've been missing. That angel. You found an angel. And it was not one of the Most Highs. So, the cult groups, they take the children and they mind control them, sacrifice them as well. You have a lot of sisters who have children and they bring their children up in that stuff. I knew one in particular. Well, I know two. And their children just as bad. Their children just as bad. And I felt so bad because I brought one sister to them. Excuse me. I brought a lot of people to that belief system. And one of them, she was a dyed-in-the-wool believer. Church going and everything. Not that church is going to save you, but it'll do you better than going there. But the sister turned her whole hookup around because of the demon that was in me was just that powerful. I turned her away from what she believed. Raise up a child in the way they should go and they should not depart. She was raised up that way. And she went down, well, she got hooked up with one of them, because I wasn't hooking up with her at the time. And she wanted something like me, so she hooked up with one of them. And he impregnated her. And the child is off the chain. And then she ended up going down there to live. And she's putting the child in their daycare. You can only imagine what their daycare is doing. So you want to be cautious of these cult groups and of any affiliation with Masonry that wants to watch your children. Church girls, spoiled and sheltered. Duality, you spoiled in one way and sheltered in another. I mean, you get too much in one way and too little in another. When you're sheltered, you get too little interaction with the world. You need to be in the world, but not of it. And when you spoil, you get too much worldly and material things. And that does create a duality, a split in the mind, a double think. So they are often off the chain because of the double think thing. They have been effectively traumatized and brought through the rituals, the initiation of a program, without ever signing any papers and belonging to any military controlled group, just by default. And their parents are very often involved in the masonry or in some fraternity or sorority. They are the children of secret society members, masons, and they see the ambiguity of their fathers. They get to see their fathers both representing like a man of God and then also doing things that a man of God would not do. And that creates a duality in the mind, a double think. Double think is the key to opening up the mind, to creating DID, dissociative identity disorder, which is what they used to call split personalities. And that's the key to opening up areas of the mind where demons, fallen angels, spirits can be placed in that empty space. And I made a notation here on the paper. Pac's mom gave little Lassane to the powers that be. They renamed him, educated him, and reinserted him. And also wrote, Jeezy's government will cash out dope boys, help create chaos or gangs in Detroit. Detroit don't really have a gang problem like you would think, but a dope problem, yes. And it's ironic that we know that some of the rappers that say that they about it really do get that work, and they get it from the government. So when you see rappers who are too bold and brazen, about bragging that they get that work, you better believe that they're protected, because that's dry snitching, and the FCC runs the airwaves. If you was really like that, you know, they supposedly the FBI sent NWA a letter for F the police. Nowadays, dudes are talking about they got pounds and keys. So you mean to tell me that the FBI, the FCC, somebody ain't paying that no attention? How does dope boy rap survive unless you got snitches all down through there? People that officially work for the government or law enforcement and parade themselves to be rappers. You've heard of the hip-hop cops. You know how that has permeated throughout New York. In Atlanta too, baby. And all down south. Well, the south was where people was going down to get to work anyway and bringing it up north. The prices was better down there. Higher up north. So that's one reason why hip-hop moved the way that it moved. From the east to the west to the south. It had to do with dope prices. Heavyweight jamming. Politics also involved. You find the sacrifice of kids there. Kwame Kilpatrick and the RoboCop 2 premonition. How is Kwame Kilpatrick shown to you in RoboCop 2? Go back and look at it. Kwame Kilpatrick is caricatured in RoboCop 2. Before we even knew what a Kwame Kilpatrick was, he was still in school like me. We ain't nothing but a year apart. So when RoboCop 2 came out, he shouldn't have even been in high school. Or maybe he was just beginning Cass Tech High School. Cass Technical High School is the big boss dog Boule High School in Detroit. People of renown and Masons and Eastern Stars, people of some means, believe in sending in their children to Cass Tech or Renaissance. Renaissance, right? Rebirth. Those are the top two. And then Martin Luther King was right behind it. You can't make this stuff up. Boule, boule, boule. Well, Kwame Kilpatrick was in this space-age futuristic movie portrayed before he even became the mayor, showing you that it was planned that he would become the mayor, that a young, silly brother would become the mayor, when the old, wise brother was the mayor, and we couldn't foresee anything ever taking Coleman Young out but death. And they didn't follow Coleman Young immediately with the young, silly mayor. But the young, silly mayor was put in place around the time where it was necessary to drive this car into the wall and get paid, get the insurance job. So when it was time to sacrifice Detroit as a massive blood sacrifice of a city, excuse me, as a massive ritual sacrifice. It wasn't blood, it was a financial sacrifice of a city. When it came time to do that, they needed somebody to facilitate that for them. And it was a bloodline child that they did that through, Kwame Kilpatrick. Bloodline child. His father involved heavily in boule politics in the blackest city in America, and also Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick, his mother. Heavyweight in Michigan politics, and a space ambassador. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Kwame Kilpatrick's mother was named to be the head of the Space Welcoming Committee to welcome aliens. The black boule, new age noir lie in full effect right before your very eyes. Right before your very eyes. So brothers, wake up. You ain't related to no alien. Sit your silly self down. Outer space? No. Inner space. That's the place. Sun Ra. Inner space is the place. Apollo 20 is Oz backward. Look at the symbol. Look at the patch. Type in Apollo 20 patch and look at it. And tell me that don't say Apollo on the top and Oz at the bottom. What's Apollo? Another disguise for Lucifer as Ra. Ra, Apollo, same thing. Both disguises for Lucifer. Apollo, false alpha god, like Aries. And right up under, you got what you told is 20. You hear it? It cuts on and off when you say and do certain things. It was sitting there on, and it just cut on and off. When you do certain things, see and say. That's what the touch screen and all that stuff is about. They're picking up vibration through these things. That's why they call them what they call them. The all-seeing iPhone, the Android. You know, these things have intelligence beyond what we're told. We're told that it just do this and do that, but that's a lie. And I know that for sure off mine. We say certain things, mine blink on and off. I don't know if they're trying to get a location, or if that's how they record, or what it's about, or if it's supposed to make me nervous. But it's happened so many times, now it's cutting off. But it's happened so many times, if it's to make me nervous, they ain't got nothing coming. Now it's cutting off. You see the power up there? Now it's cutting off. See ya. Anyway, so Apollo 20, Oz. Why Oz? Because Oz was a make-believe world of mind control. The whole thing of making you think they went to space and they go to outer space and all that is mind control. You will never know. And people that work for NASA are top secret people. They can't tell you nothing about nothing. Top secret. Because the secret is, well, they don't know themselves. They're mind controlled themselves. The astronauts are mind controlled. People that work there are kept on a need-to-know basis away from certain foundational information. So they couldn't tell you certain things anyway. Mind control is what it's all about. Not outer space. That's not where the war is fought on that level. It's inner space in your mind. And in other dimensions. You have extra dimensional travel. Yes. From world to world. You can take some salvia and do that. You don't need ships and machines. But these beings, these alien beings that we call aliens or extraterrestrials are really extra dimensionals. And they do indeed use what you would call a ship, what you and I call a ship, to travel. To get from dimension to dimension. It's a magical machine to take them from one dimension into another. And you name the things that you use to get you from point A to point B in a time-space continuum, you know, where it takes you 15 minutes to walk and it takes you 2 minutes to drive. You're doing something with time and space, dimensional travel. The movie Langoliers, good look, cross man on that one. Langoliers will bring some of that to light to those of you with the proper eyesight. Check it out. We're doing something when we're traveling. Beyond just what you think logically. or the wheels is making contact with the ground and it's moving you around. It's something else going on. So when they talk about space travel, they're really talking about dimensional travel. Einstein and Tesla unlocked the secrets to the other dimensions by understanding how to bend time and space with wormholes and whatnot. Other dimensions, not other planets. We don't even know for sure what the whole other planet thing is all about. We really don't know. If the source is NASA, you don't know. NASA is all about Nazi, mind control. Come on, let's heavyweight jam. You know about Project Paperclip and how they got all them Nazi scientists who were well versed in mind control to come here and establish NASA. And how the rocket ships that they was building and showing to the media was failing miserably. They didn't know what they was doing. You can't get past the Van Allen belt, no way. So there's a game that they running. Mind control games. Often via drugs. Psycho, alpha, disco, beta, bio, aqua, doo-doo. Bio with the body, aqua having to do with the fact that reptilian mind control is a big part of this. Shit, sit down somewhere. I tried to come out here to be quiet. Have some quiet. Have mercy. So often by way of drugs, mind control is produced. And mind control is the essence of this traveling. Okay? The foundation of possession today. Oh, and you know, the fall of Detroit was orchestrated. I think I've showed that in plenty of videos. Ain't nobody got on Detroit like me. And that's how it's supposed to be, by the will of the Creator, Ahaya Yahweh. Because I'm from there. When you're from a place, you're going to deal with it a different way than anybody else ever could. And I was raised up just for that reason. In this season. So you know Yah's hands is on this. Pray against it if you want to. Pray against it if you want to. I got too many people praying for me with real prayer power. Hour after hour. The fall of Detroit was orchestrated. Detroit, mostly blacks and Middle Easterners, had a certain energy. Regardless of what Crowley and the rest tried to do. It's a very unique place energy-wise. Different from any other major city. Simply because of that energy, that spiritual energy. The praying brothers and sisters and grandmothers and misters. And the Middle Easterners who are devout. Both the Jewish and Arabic communities. There's only more Middle Easterners in the Middle East. The only place with more Middle Easterners than Detroit is in the Middle East. Oh, God. Lord help me. Water and wildlife. There is, of course, water surrounding, well, the Detroit River has its occult significance, and that's why they placed the Stargate right outside of the river. And the wildlife, of course, it's wildlife there, but water is a spiritual conduit. It's a conductor of spiritual energy. So there's something being carried, especially between Canada and Detroit. Canada's right across the river. We can stand on Belle Isle and look across and see Canada just as clear. You can see billboards. That's how close we are to another country. So when it comes time to put the New World Order in full effect, Detroit as a border city will play a very direct and special role. And of course, we talked about Crowley on Detroit, so we won't go back through that. The first rapper, really, who had some notoriety, they say was New York implanted. But people consider him to be from the east side, and that's Isham. And he is the first devil rapper. The first rapper to openly rap about the devil. He had a red tape. His record label, Real Life Product, was the devil blowing some magic smoke. That was the logo for his label. And we all had an Isham tape in Detroit. Because it was all you had to listen to if you was looking for a Detroit rapper. It was the only thing available. Then came my main man, 50 Grand, again and again and again. And maybe we will do an interview with him also too, my man DJ Los, Easy B and DJ Los. And it's DJ Los that brought me to the Hebrew Israelite understanding. It was DJ Los. And his group was the second offering we ever knew of as far as a Detroit rap group. But let's continue. It's too much about that. Okay, so avoid the seduction by the prince of this world and of the air waves. Ephesians 2:2. Test these things in the world around you. Okay, so we dealt with this entire page, which is what I wanted to do. And so now we can go on to some fun stuff. Now, we will indeed go over more concerning the difference between alpha and beta mind control programming. Alpha mind control programming is about getting the males tightened up mind control wise, so they'll kill. And beta mind control programming is the devil's plan B, A and B. The devil's plan B to get the females on mind control by way of making them Project Monarch butterflies. And they will primarily use sex and sexuality to do their thing to you. So now, for the fun, for the last 10 minutes, we're going to go down through here. Now, if my last name is Crowley and I'm a boss, you can't be Crowley too. And we not fam. Fame is a big part of what we're offered when we take that road. Okay? And not only that, but the pride too. The pride issue. You know, you don't want to confuse me. I don't want to be confused with you, bruh. And you have a whole other family line. And we know it's about family lines. So when you see people with the same name, when you go to cities and you see same street, oh wow, it's a Coyle in Detroit. And you think Coyle or Prest, that's somebody's name. Mansfield, that's somebody's name. It's a street called Mansfield. And I'm in a city called Mansfield. Somebody's name. So now let's look at these things. The names. Now, and again, we bind up the spirit of confusion in the air. We bind up the spirit of war. We bind up the spirit of contentiousness and competition. We bind up those spirits in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, not by our power, for we have none. I am nothing and no one, but by the will and power of the Creator, in the name of the Son, the Savior, Yeshua HaMashiach, Yahweh Shah, Jesus, called in tones in these days and times. And it is so, Selah. So, we got to look at some things. This dog is crazy, man. Lord, there's too much confusion in the air. Help me, Father. We are talking about the children of Cain, the sons of Cain. Some call them the sons of Seth. But the sons of Cain against the holy and righteous bloodline, the pure bloodline that descended all the way back, excuse me, to the true original man and woman, Hawa and Kadmon. And we're talking about the seed of the serpent. It's called the brotherhood of the snake or the sons of Cain. So there is a relationship between them, regardless of what they tell you. If you think that it can be a president named Gerald Ford and then a big boss dude that owned the Lions Stadium and the Lions and put cars together for you, which are chariots modeled after the chariots of fallen angels, even down to the name. But Brother Jay say, the symbol of your car inscribed on a scroll. Then you're a little game goofy. Because that shows a direct correlation between a family. One family member to another. Like Martin Sheen, Charlie Sheen, and Emilio Estevez. These are all the children of Seth. Like Donald Sutherland, Kiefer Sutherland. Like Billy Bush, Reggie Bush, and the Bush family. Oh. Like Jerry Rice, Glenn Rice, Condoleezza Rice, and Susan E. Rice. Like John Voight and Angelina Jolie. And you know in the Tomb Raider thing, come on. He was what? He was in the Illuminati. like Vince McMahon Sr. and Vince McMahon Jr. and all of the wrestlers who are legacy wrestlers. Because they too are involved in this thing too. They even went so far as to have a New World Order hookup in wrestling. And of course the Necronomicon and the role that it played on their symbol. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, his old dude, was a wrestler. So we're looking at a legacy thing. Again, people give their children, you have to pay the cost to be the boss. So you slide your child off to the secret society. Say, raise them up, send them to the best schools. I entrust them in your care. In exchange for my success. We're going to heavyweight jam. Paris Hilton, that's why she wilding out. Bloodline. From the Hilton family. The hotels you stay in. Obama mama. And his old dude, really they believe is Frank Marshall, right? Frank Marshall Davis, I think it is, or Frank Davis Marshall. But his mama was in the mags, was in the freaky magazines. And she gave him up a long time ago. So for a long time, they've planned to bring Obama out as the man in these days and times. Top Boule, bloodline, 6 U.S. presidents. He's related to 6 U.S. presidents and Winston Churchill and Ulysses S. Grant. You can't make this stuff up. Tila Tequila told us this in her blogs, after which she ended up getting an aneurysm, but she was going with one of the NFL team owner's daughter, and the daughter, I'm sure, was giving her game until the Tequila was trying to tell us. She said blatantly, she said that if you guys knew how many of these entertainers are really related, it'll blow your mind. And she didn't say entertainer. She said how many people from sports is related to politics, is related to sports, politics, and related to singers and whatnot. They're all related. It's an interrelated thing. We are the world. We are the children of what? The sons of Cain. Oh, Lord. So you got Ryan O'Neal, Shaquille O'Neal, Patrice O'Neal, Kurt Russell, Goldie Hawn, and what's Goldie Hawn's daughter's name? Judy Garland, Liza Minnelli, Nat King Cole, and Natalie Cole. The Mathers family too. I had found some things about the Mathers family, and I believe it was related to Crowley, but Marshall Mathers. Jamie King was Jamie Foxx's name on the show, and then Rodney King, Mabel King from What's Happening, Martin Luther King, and Regina King. Rakim, last name Griffin, and Professor Griff. We'd heard about that a long time ago, and now all of a sudden it's not true. Reverend Run and Russell Simmons, Marvin Gaye Sr., Marvin Gaye Jr., and Nona Gaye, Billy Ray Cyrus and Miley Cyrus, Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson. I wonder about Jesse Jackson. Now, when I was at the Greyhound station on my way here, Alan Thicke, Robin Thicke. When I was on at the Greyhound station, the Mosai had me bump into a dread. He was carrying some instruments, and so I said, "Wow, let me strike up a conversation, find out who is this man." He ended up being Brother Oba from the Inner Circle. They made Bad Boys, right? Well, he had green eyes, and he went to telling me about all kind of things. You know, we just got on that level, and he went to telling me about Terrence Howard III was his son. He pulled out a picture he had in his back pocket of him. And I looked at him, I was like, what the? That looked just like your son. And he went to telling me about how he was in a secret aspect of the military. He had earned a Purple Heart. He told me so many things. He had a Masonic compass and square tattooed on one hand and the fleur de lis on the other. He told me about his connections to New Orleans voodoo. And the spirit just had him telling me things. Now his intention, you know, we talked a little bit about the Illuminati. His thing was, well, you know, Beyonce and Jay-Z and stuff, they don't even know. They're going to end up being the kings and queens of this earth. And so they're being put in that position, but in the end, they're going to turn to the Most High. That was the brother's position. But I saw it overstood, too, that the demons that he had been entertaining for so long had him in somewhat of a conundrum, as they do, because the spirit realm that you deal with on that level is very wise. And as wise as the dread was, and you know, he turned me on to his book and everything. If I can, maybe I'll put that up as the thumbnail. But anyway, he was writing a book, and he was telling me a lot of information. And he was clearly battling some things himself, as we all are. And his intent was like you find when you are a physician in this spiritual battle. People who are spiritually in need of a physician will come to you and tell you what's wrong. Okay? They may not know that that's what their intention is. They may not intentionally or consciously be doing that, but they will do that. They will run down what's wrong so that you'll know what to pray for. So, you know, we just want to touch and agree and pray for Brother Oba and for his family. Pray that he be released, for God has not given him the spirit of fear, but the power of love and of a sound mind. And he has desired to be released. His intention was good. He intended himself on telling a young man some things about this crazy world so that I would not be blinded to how crazy this world was. And for that, Father, I ask that you show him grace and mercy and that you lead him out of the darkness and into the light. Selah. And, you know, he gave me his information and stuff, and maybe we'll be able to get him to come on and speak on some of these things. He told me so many mind-blowing things I can hardly grasp and recall it to give it back to y'all in a proper manner. But I know how to summarize it. And in summary, he was saying the same thing what I just got through telling y'all. It's a whole lot of relationships that we're not told about. And it's government involvement, military involvement, and voodoo or the occult involvement. And he was a standing representative of that. And of course we know about Code 187 and Willie Hutch. That connection. And then all of the things that you've heard a million times about Cosby and Ennis. And in Leonard 6, you know, Ghost Dad is interesting too. Spirit world stuff, right? Necromancy. But in Leonard 666, in Leonard 6, he has to use a code word in order to enter a place, a room. And the code word he has to use is what? Boule. Then of course we know about Serena and Venus's dad really being the man behind them. Probably Boule man. And their sister and her somewhat mysterious death. Jordan and his dad, Jennifer Hudson, her mother, nephew, and them. Prince's father, been in the business. Prince Rogers Nelson, been in the business. And then Prince's baby with Mate, the twin, disappears. Some people say, oh, that baby died. Did he say that in the interview with Oprah? He was very vague about what happened to the baby, and I remember he would not admit what happened. He would not say definitively what happened because they had to get that baby up. Rosemary's Baby. Watch it. Watch it. Find that movie. Rent it. Find it. Blockbuster's shut down. I don't know where you're going to find it. Some of y'all know how to do that stuff. Get on there and find it. Find it and circulate it. People need to see Rosemary's Baby. A lot of truth was told there. And a lot of these same connections are found there. Pay attention to the credits in Rosemary's Baby and the actors' names. The actors' names and the characters' names. There's a game that they playing with that even in Rosemary's Baby because the movie itself was a ritual. Movies and videos themselves are rituals. Then we got to look at method acting. I wrote down Method Man. Johnny Depp, Jim Carrey, Robin Williams. in the movie with Method Man and Red Man, How High, necromancy, all through the movie, and Pharmacia. And Method Man, we know, throwing up the sign all the time, him and Red. And when ODB went to Talking Real Talk, Method Man tried to shut him down. And ODB is gone, and Method Man is with us. The fake accents, another sign of alter ego, multiple personalities, mind control, you feel with other things. You find that with Tina Turner, and we know she was and she was confused and abused, ritually abused by a pimp-minded musician that was her handler, mind control. And of course, we see the same thing with Madonna. She talks in funny accents, and we know she's involved in the Kabbalah and all that type of stuff. Street signs and last names, we talked about that. Same streets in various cities, same names. You can't have mine. And then there's the Masonic name change. Some people that you see in the entertainment world, they change their name, or they get their name changed. The same way that Abram had his name changed to Abraham. When you take a step up, you get your name changed, and when you take a step down, the same way that Halal had his name changed to Azazel. So, I hope that was shedding some light on that subject on some level. And again, how you gonna prove it? I told you in the first video. It's called discernment. Jeremiah 33:3. So I speak over you the ability to discern things that will not be found in books, and I also speak over you the ability not to be bound by the box of books, nor the tricks of scholarly pursuits, the tricks of scholastica and academia. And I pray that you are able to discern things by the Spirit, test the Spirit by the Spirit, and you'll never be deceived. This is the Matthew 24:24 church, quote unquote. We know church come from Kirk and Xerxes and all that. This is a temple of the true Yeshua. Reporting. And yes, very soon you will be introduced to my brother from another mother, Brother Minister Ron in New York City, and some others that I'm getting lined up now. But Brother Ron has gave me the go ahead that he's ready. He's ready for action, and so we're gonna get him on here ASAP. Love y'all. Shalom.